24, driving business.
A warm welcome back to the show. This is the point where we analyze economic policy. My name is Anthony and I'm your host. Today I'm talking to Hajat Hasfa Seguya, who is a tax literacy person at the Uganda Revenue Authority. Definitely the right person to get you up to speed with what URA has in plan, of course, to meet the targets for the next financial year 2023-2024. Budget and of course the domestic revenue collection. Now, one of the strategies that the Uganda Revenue Authority has been able to employ very correctly is digitization, and as a way of to increase tax compliance and of course ease access to of course the different mediums of tax, and getting to improve access and get to teach people online how to get to pay taxes and so on and so forth. It has been a strategy that has been deployed and has actually worked by improving and widening the tax base. Now, in the next financial year, of course, we are talking about 29.3 trillion Ugandan shillings, which is not a mean feat. How are we going to realize this? By leveraging on the digital platforms that are already in place. Hajat Hasfa, you already mentioned, for example, digital tracking solutions, the EFRIS, and so on. These are very wonderful innovations, I must say, by the Uganda Revenue Authority. But in the next financial year, are you planning on any new or technology, or are you planning to actually capitalize on more of these?
Definitely, we are trying. We are going to capitalize more on this because we have just introduced them, but at least we have seen the results, the fruits of these two applications. However, maybe what we did that was a little extraordinary that they didn't expect us to do under the EFRIS project, because we had rolled out that one can use an electronic fiscal device, that's an EFD. But along the way, we realized our clients do not have the money. Yes, we sold the idea, we did some practicals and here and there. But
electronic fiscal device. What's that?
It's like a point of sale.
Okay.
It's one of the channels that you can use under the EFRIS application.
Okay.
So what we did is we put aside free machines. So we started with those that are VAT registered, that we see are struggling. They could issue an invoice and lump up others. That means they don't have the means to issue invoices instantly. Probably they wait for somebody who knows the system to come and issue a number of them, then just like that in bits. So when we started their patterns, when you look at the returns, you can study the pattern and see how the invoices appear. So we started by advertising that package more so in downtown and specifically in Chikubo. That's where we started, because that's the business hub, or that is the so-called business hub, where most of these supermarkets at least buy from, where we equally go to the supermarkets. So the supermarkets also said, but if where I buy they don't issue a fiscalized document, what do you expect me to do? So we said, let's see how we can arrest the other issue. So we started by issuing free devices. We tell you, if you need it, kindly come. We do some training, we do some configurations, we do some practicals there for you to be able to manage it. So at least with that, it has given us a lot in filing, the compliance in filing, and even the quality of returns, because we don't want you to lump up these transactions. We want each transaction to come single-handedly on an invoice. And secondly, when you look at IFRIS, it goes further than what you see, because Ideally, if it's not an invoice, it will be a receipt. Entirely, this receipt issued. At the end of the year, these are your sales. So we expect to harmonize in between what you have issued and probably what you declare. So to some extent, it will even help us in the under declarations you have been talking about. Because if we make it a point that kindly ask for an e-receipt when you buy, if they tell you there is a VAT component, kindly ask for an e-invoice. By the way, we even launched recently, just last week. We happened to launch and the media was there. I guess you were there. The Smart 24. We launched the e-receipt campaign. We want to make it a practice that wherever you go, kindly ask for as little as 1,500 shillings. Ask for an e-receipt. Where need be and there is VAT, ask for an e-invoice. Because when we use the public to push for that pressure into those who are trading, then we will be there. Because if you know my clients are asking for this, then at the end of the day you need to comply. Right. Exactly.
This e-receipt, how does it work? Is it something only people with smartphones can access?
Not really, even though you don't have a smartphone, because we have the USSD code. It could basically even work. You could issue it on those phones, the button phones, the cavities. We have that application because when you look at most of the manufacturers, they do route sales. So ideally, when the vehicle is moving, it's even difficult to get network as it's moving. So that's why the USSD comes in for those that can use it, and maybe the AFD, because we have offline and online modes where you reach and practically there is no internet connectivity. You can switch on the offline so that you work, and when everything is okay, you just export everything onto the online. We have tried to do a lot of business process reengineering to see that at least we make it easy for you to comply. We reduce the cost of doing business. You don't need to get a laptop to issue this invoice. You can even issue it on your phone. You can issue it using an EFD. Those are there. We have one vendor called
Which you say they're expensive.
No, we gave out those for free, and those who could buy bought. But we are still moving that same program. Never know, we'll get others for free. You know, whenever we get that pressure and people are willing to use them, then we need to get a win-win situation. If I invest $1 million in this client, I'm yet to get more millions along the way or along a number of years. So why not invest in this client, this machine? So that's what we've been doing. For those who could purchase, they purchased. Those who could use other modes or channels, they used them.
Have you faced any challenges in the digitization of taxes? For example, there are people who are really smart. With technology, also comes the challenge of cybercrime, scamming, and people actually manipulating technology to their own advantage, which is of course not to the advantage and the interest of the Uganda Revenue Authority. Have you faced any such challenges, and have you addressed them?
So far we hadn't faced much because we put precautions there. Okay. One, the first precaution is we ensure that this information you give us in IFRIS is encrypted, so that we can do away with the hackers and all that. And secondly, our applications, at least we have the firewalls so that we can get rid of whoever is trying to manipulate this and that. We are trying to invest in technology to see that we simplify the lives of our client. Whenever I reduce the cost of doing business to you, and I'm simplifying the service delivery, and it is easy to use, the systems are simple to use, they're applicable, then at the end of the day, this is a cost I am saving you. I am looking at a no hassle compliance. Don't hassle, just hustle to get the money. But to comply, I don't want you to hustle. So that it's as simple as the word simple.
I remember the first time I got my TIN number, when I went to one of the offices of URA, at the gate, I didn't know how to get a TIN number.
Yes.
So this guard tells me, you know what, I can help you. He told me, if you give me 50,000, I'll be able to get your documents, and before the end of the day, you'll get the TIN. Fortunately, I knew well enough someone at least to give a call before I could unleash that 50,000. And then I gave my friend in URA a call and said, no, you just go online, you go to our website, open, and then you have your details there, and you have a TIN.
It's just unfortunate, but those are some of the things we are telling our clients.
Yes.
Because there are stories that are too good to be true. It's in your face, TIN is free. Whenever you put on your television set,
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4 adverts, the fifth one is TIN is free. Come to URA, TIN is free. Request for an e-receipt.
Yeah.
Sincerely, when you put on radio, we are equally there. Then, sincerely, I mean, the world has such people.
Yeah.
You can't wipe them out 100%.
Yes.
But we do try. That is why we tell you, kindly call our toll-free numbers. In case you get information that is a little confusing, 0800 11 7000 and 0800 21 7000. You could even go on WhatsApp. We are on WhatsApp now.
Okay.
On 772 14 code 0. Just tell us, how do I get? Ask, how do I get a TIN? And by the way, we have the instant TIN. It is just 5 minutes. Sincerely, why do you give the Ayoka 50? Yet it is just something as simple as that.
Yes.
Then off you go. Provided you have your national ID card, it is very simple, because our systems are interlinked with NIRA and Uganda Registration Services Bureau to verify the business names and their registrations, and to verify your registration as an individual, so that we know whatever is coming out is exactly your biodata, is all that.
Before we leave IFRIS, I want us to, and digitization and so on, I want us to just have a 360 degrees look at these two components, the IFRIS and digital tracking solutions.
Yes.
If you could help the viewers understand the tools and what they help us access on what businesses should do to tap into these tools very fast.
Ideally, let me start with the digital tracking solution.
Yes.
Digital tracking solution, we now have about 13 items that we have gazetted. We started with water, the water I have here. We have the paper stamps, we have the digital stamps. When you look at the lid, normally our stamps go on the lid.
Yes.
If it's a drink. Those ink codes are the stamps.
Okay.
Because when you have a machine called a gizmo machine, you can just look through and they will relay the details of how this bottle came, who is the manufacturer, the batch number, the expiry number, and all those details. That is one. So ideally for digital tax stamps, we have a number of items. We have water, bottled water, we have soda, we have beer, wine, we have spirits.
Is that digital, your digital stamp? There's a UNBS stamp, which is also digital. I don't know if there's a difference.
Before I came in with the digital stamps, UNBS had a Q mark.
Yes.
That Q mark is basically to authenticate the quality of this product on market. That I've given you a go ahead, kindly produce. That's a Q mark. But when I was coming up with this stamp, ideally even in the stamp, we have some features for UNBS.
Wow, interesting.
So that is what it is.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and added more items. We have sugar, we have cement, but the enforcement is basically at the manufacturer's place. So far for those two. Then we went ahead and said, we are adding on cooking oil, we're adding on fermented beverages like Bushera, we are adding on fruit and vegetable juice, we are adding on non-alcoholic drinks apart from what we have initially gazetted, and alcoholic drinks apart from what we have said, because you know we have the kombuchas that came in the market and there are now too many, so we needed to level the ground one and to bring everybody up to speed that it is okay, but let all these items in this category be stamped let them pay local excise duty, and the choice is yours. What to drink? If you want to get a little tipsy, you know what to take. What works for you is what you take.
Yeah.
So ideally, that is what we did, and they are just 2 types of stamps: the paper stamp that you'll see on the lid here, or the ink-coded stamps. So ideally, it's very clear that before these items leave your production line, that chain, they should end with a stamp.
Yes.
And with my stamp, I don't expect you to cover anything where the stamp is, because you're defacing it. How will a client be able to see it when they're purchasing? Because I equally tell clients, kindly don't purchase items that are not stamped. Because when I find them in your custody, there's equally another penalty in my law, the Tax Procedures Code, Section 19B. So we make sure that we spread the gospel so that nobody is caught at fault. However, with the digital tax stamp, ever since we brought it, I think you have seen there's an improvement in the market. There are less water types that you see. You used to see many water types.
The sprout every morning.
Drink water and you don't understand whether it is water or it is something else. And the smell itself, as you open, at times it was not doing the best for the consumer. So we need to protect consumer rights. Ideally, we need to protect your safety. And we need to work on smuggling. And we need to work on counterfeits. Because when you're producing your good product with all the guidelines in place, and somebody comes and imitates exactly what you have, ideally your sales will go low. Because some of these consumers are not that critical to see, you know, here there is no line and the line is here and all that, because somebody is working alongside you. So that's where we have put a lot of effort to see, because you won't produce a drink that is in no restaurant.
If I see anything without a stamp, I just definitely know any product. This product is not tax compliant.
Among the products I mentioned:
sugar,
bottled water, soda, beer, wines, spirits, cigarettes, sugar, cement, cooking oil, fermented beverage, vegetable and fruit juice, other non-alcoholic beverages apart from the ones we have mentioned, then other alcoholic. So when you see an imitation of any of those and you are not seeing a stamp, you can even whistleblow to us and say, but do you know this company? You can just
I could be lined for 100 million next.
Exactly, you could be lined up, because that's a big deal. Because one, I am going to first of all recover in penalty, because there is penalty of not stamping. If I get an item that is not stamped, it's about, I think, 50 million if I haven't forgotten. So ideally, those are things that are clear cut. So you can even whistleblow and help us level the ground, so that we do not push anybody out of business, because we are promoting those that actually are doing the counterfeit, are smuggling, and in most cases it's difficult to get a smuggler or somebody in counterfeits to comply. It will be the hardest.
Why these particular products? Why not clothing? Why not food? Why water, alcohol, beverages? Why these particular products for this particular digital stamp?
One, most of these products are luxuries. You can choose to do without them. That is the first thing. You can choose to do without drinking bottled water.
You can boil water.
You boil and put in your pot. It's the water that we grow up taking. You can choose not to take soda. And take just something prepared at home. And when you take fruit juice, I mean, it's a choice, because you can even go home and squeeze your juice and take it. So, I mean, most of them are luxury products. So, the genesis of why these products, there are some of the products that were listed for excise duty. because of the genesis. Initially, they were called sin. It was called a sin tax. It was meant to discourage the consumption of tobacco. But along the way, as a country develops and needs to widen the avenues of getting revenue, we had to bring in more items to include in the excise duty, and ideally to even include in stamping. Because when you look at some of these items, they were items that are normally smuggled. Others are items that have many counterfeits around them. And if you don't take wine, you don't die.
Absolutely.
You don't die. Not because I'm Hafsa, but there are certain things if you don't take them, and mostly if you don't have money, you don't die. You survive. It's not food that by hook or crook you have to.
So you're looking at the luxury products.
They were luxury, and some you can do without them.
Yeah. Let's talk about IFRIS. What are the tools? What are the items therein?
Definitely, when you look at IFRIS
in full, by the way, we could be talking to people who might not be at the same rhythm.
E is for electronic.
Okay.
F is for fiscal, because you are going to generate a transaction that has a tax component. That's why fiscal is there. Electronic, we are going to use an electronic gadget to generate this document. Receipting is only for those that are not VAT registered, but are in business and could be dealing with VAT registered clients. So to keep them in business, we had to create a document that could help them transact with the rest. Invoicing is basically for those that are VAT registered. And it is a solution that came to address challenges that we had seen, like record keeping. Because now, even though you don't keep boxes, everything is saved on our system. We manage the system. Even though your invoices are misplaced, you have a fallback where you can regenerate or reprint. That's the right word. You can reprint these invoices and get them. So ideally, it is a system that came to address a number of challenges. And secondly, it gives us details of how you sell. You sell details in real time. We don't need to do a lot. It's like a digital tracking solution. It relays the production data in real time.
Does it apply both to importers, exporters, and as well as people doing business?
Exactly. The items I've talked about are not only locally manufactured. If you choose to import any of those items, ideally stamping is paramount. But maybe the ease we have done is if you're importing, you are free to purchase your stamps, buy them from SIGPA. That's the only vendor of these stamps, a company called SIGPA. It's located in Tinda, Enha Road. You are free to make a forecast of what you're going to import wherever you're going and go with these stamps, so that the other entity affixes the stamps while the items are still on the production line. So that when you come, we don't need to unpack, because unpacking in most cases disorganizes the beauty of this package. And it creates doubt with a client. The box looks tampered with. What is the problem? So you can't make explanation to everybody.
You could stamp the package.
So you just stamp the package. And now we have scanners, non-intrusive scanners. The scanner just goes round the container to see whether these items have stamps.
Without any...
Where it doesn't, it would cause a red flag to whoever is on the computer. The same idea. I think this container needs a physical verification where we need to remove everything and put it back. So that's how far we've gone with technology to see that we reduce on the time. Way back we used to do physical verifications in customs, remove a 40 feet. Putting back a 40 feet, my God, is hell. Some items break, they are destroyed, the time taken, you've just removed them and the rain comes. I mean, a lot has been happening. So we are even reducing the time the client is with us. So we just use technology to see that we do our work, but we save time for the client to go in the market and look for clients.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. We're going to take our last break, Harriet Hasfa, and when we return for our final segment, we just want to look at if we are going to have new taxes. Are we expecting any tax reforms, any new taxes in the next regime? There was something very controversial this year when, of course, something came up about the collective investment scheme. And this was something that...
the unit trusts.
Yes, the unit trusts. And people said, how would you tax this? Yet this is where we are running as a, hedge for risks coming from other...
It was discouraging.
Yes. So are we looking
Saving.
at any more surprises in the next financial year or not? My name is Anthony. We return shortly with our final segment. Don't touch your dial.